The woman was bound to the chair, shaking under torture. A man nearby said he thought this was only a game. The woman called out to Woohyun, saying she could not endure it anymore. He repeated in his mind that it was only a realistic game. He had believed he could log out at any time. She looked up at him, crying, apologizing, and he shouted at her not to say it. Her name was Su-ah. It was not only her. More voices from the room called to Woohyun, begging him to survive, begging him not to give up. Their cries came one after another, and then they began to die in front of him. One voice faded, then the next, and the next, until only he remained. Time passed inside that room, and he was forced to accept what he saw. He begged them not to leave him behind, but they were already gone, and he could not stop it. Slowly, it settled in his mind that this place was no longer just a game. It was real to him now, and he screamed at the truth he had been trying to deny. He was inside the Reverse Planet, a viral VR game praised for dimensional gates, special abilities, and invasion wars. He had logged in because his friend recommended it. Now he was trapped, unable to leave. Men entered the room. They congratulated him and called him Test Subject Number 62. They said he had taken another step toward becoming a transcendent in Project Transcendent. The project crushed thousands of people to produce a single transcendent. They carried out inhumane biological experiments on kidnapped victims. Electrical torture, drug injections, and body modifications were done as routine procedures. The bodies of the others were dragged away, and the guards were told to lock Woohyun with the remaining subject. He sat in the dark, holding his anger. He thought it was unforgivable. If this was truly his new reality, then he would have revenge. Time passed until the facility alarms began to blare. A test subject had escaped. All personnel were ordered to arm themselves and be on standby. Woohyun moved with a group of survivors as they ran through the facility. For the first time since the chair, he felt hope. He believed that once they escaped the corridor ahead, they would finally be free. They stopped the moment a man blocked their path. The man spoke without hesitation, saying they had crawled all this way, but never expected this corridor to be their grave. The group understood they had no choice. They would fight him. They told Woohyun to support them from behind. They charged. The fight was desperate and violent. At the end of the struggle, Woohyun had the enemy in a chokehold, squeezing until the man stopped breathing. When he looked around, everyone else had fallen. Their bodies lay still on the floor. Woohyun cried, unable to believe it was happening again. The corpses of his allies haunted him. Their voices echoed in his head, accusing him, saying it was not fair that he alone survived. The guilt buried him, heavier than the enemy he had killed. After escaping the lab that day, the years passed. Time became nothing but the same cycle. To avenge the ones he loved, he killed again and again. His hands never rested. His revenge never stopped. His hatred never faded. He cut down another group of enemies, moving through them without hesitation. One of them tried to run. Woohyun threw a knife and hit him in the back of the throat. The body fell and the silence returned. No matter how many he killed, the cycle never ended. The guilt never went away. He wondered how long he would live like. He believed it would be until the day he died. A system window appeared in front of him, blinking with calm text. It said a bug fix had been detected. If he eliminated the director of Project Transcendence, he would return to his original world. Woohyun walked deeper into the office, leaving nothing behind except bodies. Chairs were overturned, papers scattered, and the floor was smeared with the aftermath of his advance. In the center of the room, the executive director of Project Transcendence was on his knees, shaking, asking why Woohyun was doing this when they had finally reached the moment of glory. Standing nearby, another man grabbed the director by the collar, telling him that his confusion made no sense. This one was test subject number 81, Kim Young-jun, a survivor of the same project. The director ordered him to be silent, but Young-jun ignored him, calling him by his identification number and insisting he was not someone worth addressing. He turned to Woohyun and called him by his full name, as if the sound alone could explain everything. The director called Woohyun something else as well, Superhuman. He said Woohyun achieved transcendence with nothing but a human body, the single most successful creation they had ever produced. He called him a masterpiece. The more the director spoke, the more frantic he became. He accused Woohyun of being foolish, insisting that killing him would not end anything. The corporate alliance, he said, never forgave betrayal. He warned that it would not just be Woohyun who paid the price. It would be his family. His relatives, his colleagues, the people around him, everyone connected to his existence. Before his sentence could finish, the room split. The director and the desk in front of him were sliced clean in half. The body fell apart and spilled onto the floor, some of it landing across Young-jun's clothes. Young-jun's fury erupted immediately. He barked at Woohyun, demanding why he had splattered blood on him and why he killed the man without asking the questions he still had. Woohyun did not answer. He stared at the shimmering system window in front of his eyes. It told him that the mission was complete. If he pressed the confirmation, he could return to his original world. His hands trembled. He said to himself that freedom was finally in reach. He needed only to press the button and he would be home. Just as his finger reached forward, the weight returned. Voices flooded his mind, the voices of his dead allies, the ones who never survived. They surrounded him and accused him, saying he could not have forgotten them. They reminded him of revenge, of everything he still owed them, of everything they would never rest from. He told them he was tired. He said he had already done enough. He said even if he left only once, he deserved to return home. This might be the first and last chance he would ever get. The voices continued to torment him until Young Jun snapped him back. Woohyun stared at him and said he was going back to his original world. Young Jun asked what he meant. He claimed he had been there from the beginning. Woohyun pressed the confirmation anyway, apologizing in advance for leaving them behind. He opened his eyes in his bed, gasping for air. His room was familiar. His breath slowed as he examined the walls, the ceiling, the door, the light through the window. He whispered to himself that this was truly his home. He wondered if he had really escaped. He fumbled for his phone and checked the date. The screen showed the same day he had been dragged into the game. No time had passed. His body was not the same. All of his muscle mass was gone. His arms were small, like they were before he entered the reverse planet. He muttered that it was like everything had been a dream. But it could not have been. 10 years of killing, surviving, bleeding, and watching every companion die could not be a dream. His memories were sharp. Every face, every scream, every battlefield was still real. The 10 years he spent there were still alive inside him. His phone rang again. The caller name was Young Nayeon. He wondered why that name felt familiar. She started yelling the moment he answered, asking why he was not responding, and whether he had already forgotten their promise. He asked what she meant, confused by her urgency. She reminded him they were supposed to meet tonight and sent him the location. She hung up. The moment the call ended, he remembered her voice. She had been the only colleague he had ever been close to. She was the one who recommended Reverse Planet in the first place. He wondered if she planned everything, but his memories did not suggest it. She never seemed to be someone capable of such things. He decided he should meet her anyway. Woohyun arrived at the location and scanned the area until Nayeon waved at him. Nayeon said it had been a while since the end-of-term exams and asked if he wanted to drink. He turned down the alcohol, saying even if he got drunk, he did not know what would happen. She shrugged and said she would order food instead. As she opened the menu, she asked whether he had tried Reverse Planet yet. She reminded him that the last time they talked, he said he only cleared the tutorial. Woohyun said he created a character, watched the intro, and was immediately dragged inside. Nayeon looked at him blankly and said that watching the intro was not playing. His frustration rose. He thought if she knew that game made him suffer for 10 full years, she would never speak about it so casually. He thought it was all because of her. She pouted and said she was looking forward to it. She reminded him he promised to be a regular guest on her stream. Since he was a Coliseum ranker in the game, even showing a portion of that skill on her small channel would make it explode. He remembered she liked streaming and often begged them to play games with her. Somehow, sitting there with her, the atmosphere felt normal. He felt like he had finally returned. Later, at home, Woohyun looked up the company behind Reverse Planet. He told himself he had done enough. He had escaped that hell. There was no point searching deeper. He would put it behind him. This world was real now. He spent time with friends. He tried to be a normal student, but the survivor's guilt seeped into everything. It whispered constantly, asking if he truly returned, asking if any of this was real. He turned to look at the apparition beside him. It vanished the moment his eyes reached it. Slowly, everything began to slip. When he looked at people, Woohyun saw the faces of his dead comrades. His heart raced. His classmates stared and murmured that he looked like he was on Fent. He stumbled into the hallway to breathe until someone grabbed his shoulder. Panic surged through him. His mind snapped. He pulled the man forward, and his hand reached for a knife that was no longer there. He slashed at the air that his memory insisted was flesh, and snapped back to reality. There was no weapon, no uniform, no blood. He apologized, saying he was startled. The student stared at him, telling him he had been acting strange. Woohyun looked at his trembling hand and left the school. Woohyun sat outside with a cold drink, trying to calm himself. The ghosts of his comrades whispered again. They told him to return. They reminded him of revenge and the unfinished task. He shouted for them to stop. Nayeon rushed to him. She said he looked pale and distant. She asked what was wrong. He said nothing. She told him if something happened, he should tell her and she would help. He realized then that he brought the ghosts back himself. Nayeon returned to class unaware. That night he stood in front of a VR capsule. If the voices would never stop until they were satisfied, then this world was no different than the other. He stepped forward and decided he would return to Reverse Planet and finish it to the end. The status window welcomed Woohyun into the game, and the first thing he saw was his reflection in a mirror. The cold frame of the waiting room surrounded him. He remembered this place from the lab where he once spent years in torment. He wondered why he was inside the game world and not returned to the world he had already accepted as hell. The possibility that something else was required consumed him. The menu asked him to confirm his appearance, but he ignored it. He chose to continue with the tutorial because it might be his only chance to return. Before any of that, he thought about a single matter. He had to deal with the settings. In the world he came from, he fought without help. Combat assistance felt like an insult. A pair of training wheels he was forced to carry. He turned it down to 0. Returning to the same raw instincts that had kept him breathing all these years. The game then told him to choose a core ability element. Reverse Planet's system was based on a foundation and enhancement. A core element first, and then a series of sub-elements that shaped a character's identity. Players around the world crafted builds, and in the professional leagues, specialists spent their lives studying them. He already knew his answer. His past life inside that nightmare had branded him with a single path. It earned him the name of a superhuman, and it was the only power he still remembered how to rely on. He selected it without hesitation. A voice addressed him, calling him test subject number 48. It told him he seemed to have awakened in the last experiment and that a week had passed since. Woohyun understood immediately. The game only showed moments after an awakening, never the torment before. No player would want to experience that pain. The voice ordered him to re-enter the room for the next experiment, and when he stepped inside, he recognized the object waiting for him. A machine stood motionless, covered in silver alloy armor with red indicators across its body. It was Etnel, the killing weapon built to control awakeners and end their rampages. This was the same creation responsible for countless deaths, the one that crushed every hope inside the lab. The machine turned toward him. It demanded combat, and the world around him blurred with memory, blood, screams, his comrades collapsing with holes in their bodies. He could not stop the images from rushing forward. He shook as the machine approached, sinking into the same stance as the one that executed his friends. The machine lunged. Its attacks came in a 4-hit chain, a brutal pattern engraved in his memory. He slid to the side, lowered himself under the follow-up strike, and rushed forward. At close distance, he planted his hand against the metal shell. The early versions did not possess abilities. They relied on raw speed, reinforced strength, and mechanical reinforcement. He lifted it with pure force and slammed it into the floor. The impact shook the walls. The body of Etnel broke into parts, scattering across the chamber. The scene ended instantly. The voice on the intercom praised him, saying his potential was far beyond the level of ordinary test subjects. It declared him ready for the next experiment. But before the message could finish, the entire facility trembled. The voice behind the microphone panicked, unaware it was still transmitting. Explosions roared through the building. Something invaded from above. The sound of gunfire and steel consumed the background. The voice died mid-sentence. A different voice replaced it. A woman announced herself as part of a rescue operation, calling out to every victim trapped in the laboratory. She urged them to escape using their own strength. Woohyun narrowed his eyes, almost recognizing the tone. The tutorial window changed. His task became simple: escape the lab before it destroyed itself. He ran through the hallway as more explosions echoed in the distance. Fire burned through broken steel. Walls collapsed inward. The corridor was a ruin, littered with debris and fragments of equipment. While moving forward, he noticed a soldier slumped against the wall. The uniform bore the insignia of the Interdimensional Management Bureau. The soldier's voice was faint. He understood that Woohyun intended to escape, and he offered a selection of weapons. Then he pressed a radio into Woohyun's hand. Once outside, he would send a signal and the Bureau would retrieve him. The soldier's head bowed. He died with his eyes closed. Footsteps resounded behind him, rhythmic and cold. Another Edenel appeared at the intersection. Woohyun knew at once that the encounter was scripted. The tutorial demanded conflict. It was a test, and tests needed enemies. He reached for the weapon panel and grabbed a chain sickle. The moment its weight settled in his palm, a familiar sensation slid through him, as if the past wrapped itself around his wrist. He walked forward to face the machine. Somewhere else, a young woman named Kang Soyul was complaining. Her voice echoed into the world through a broadcast. Soyul hated the game, hated the idea of playing Reverse Planet, and her pride as a retro gamer felt crushed. She had agreed because of a promise to her viewers. They mocked her, doubting her claims and painting her as a liar. Soyul refused to break the promise and began the game. Soyul skipped customization, set appearance to default, and chose fire as her ability. Combat assistance became her next worry. She attempted 50%, but her chat reminded her that it had to be 0. She resisted, saying almost no users worldwide played with 0 assistance. To her, it felt like trying to control a new limb that did not belong to her body. The challenge was impossible. Then a donation came in. Soyul folded, unable to argue against money. Her voice returned bright and confident, but when she entered the tutorial, she fell immediately to Edel. The machine stomped on her. While she desperately reached for her radio, she forced herself to focus, repeating that she had the weapon, the radio, and a path toward escape. The system triggered auto-matchmaking. She suddenly remembered the feature. Clearing the tutorial while matched with another player still counted as a completion. Soyul's chat accused her of being carried, but they also pointed out a rule. Matchmaking only paired players with the same combat assistant. With 0 assistance, she would find no one. They laughed at her mistake. Then the screen matched. Her entire body froze. The warp engulfed her, transporting her to her partner's location. When her eyes opened, she saw the bodies of Etenel scattered across the hallway, one corpse after another, like discarded prototypes. The chat erupted. Some said the party member was a smurfing professional. Others rejected the idea. No pro had ever cleared the tutorial this cleanly with no assistance. She knelt beside the remains, shocked. The corpses had been torn apart without a gun and without a ranged weapon. Whatever had done this did so with raw skill. She followed the corridor and soon saw him. Woohyun walked forward, soaked in blood from the machines he had destroyed. Woohyun heard her steps and turned. Instinct took control. He leapt at her, blade poised, stopping a hair's width from her face. She froze and ducked away from him, terrified. He recognized the lab coat she wore. They were matched. He apologized and resumed walking. She chased him at a distance, unable to let go of the one person who could ensure her survival. She introduced herself, announcing that Woohyun was being streamed live, though his face was secured by privacy mode. He paused, unsure of how to respond. Armed soldiers stormed into the hallway. They ordered to kill their targets rather than capture them. Gunfire broke into the air. Kang Soyul hurled herself behind a corpse, terrified by the difficulty of the tutorial. Woohyun flew into motion. His chain sickle blurred through the air as he dodged the bullets and lashed out at distant targets. His eyes turned black under the influence of his ability. He cut through the attackers, dismantling them with calculated precision. His movements sharp and unhesitating. Kang Soyul stared at the scene in disbelief. She called to her chat, asking if they were seeing the impossible. The chain sickle curved like a living creature, tearing into the enemy. The chat tried to guess his ability. Some claimed wind, judging by the speed. One message cut through the noise. The only core element that enhanced physical attributes while changing. Eye color was transcendence. Soyul recognized the word. Everyone had told her it was trash-tier ability, a path that sealed away other elements and ruined every future build. She whispered that it was trash. And yet the battlefield in front of her denied every rumor. She watched a single player cut through death itself, and for the first time she wondered what kind of monster had been sent to carry her. Transcendence was one of many core elements in Reverse Planet, but unlike the others, it came with a price no one wanted to pay. It enhanced a user's body beyond human limits and hardened the body against ability attacks, yet removed the option to use ability skills entirely. The penalty was absolute, brutal, and ridiculed by every player base. Soyul's audience exploded in disbelief. To willingly choose a build that erased everything the game revolved around felt insane. Every specialized player sharpened their skills through elemental powers, and Transcendence cut them off. Still, the black color of Woohyun's irises left no doubt. He had chosen it. Some viewers wondered if physical stat scaling mattered more than they had believed, but Soyul reminded them he was still only level 1. A level 1 player should not move like a blade of wind. Watching him bend muscle and metal alike made her question the kind of human he was outside the game. The last guards fell under his strikes. His posture loosened as he looked down at the chain sickle stained with the results of his violence. The names of comrades he had failed hovered behind him, whispering that this was not enough. Their accusations crawled up his spine, calling for retribution he still had not earned. Another guard peeked from around a corner, rifle raised. Soil reacted before he could. She burst forward with a reckless yell and shot 3 rounds that pinned the soldier back against the wall. While he panicked, she slid forward and fired a clean shot into his head. Her audience cheered her on, hyping her like she had just changed the tide of a tournament. She spun toward Woohyun, eager for approval, asking if she had been helpful. He stared straight past her, trapped again in memory, seeing a little girl from the other side, and hearing the final breaths of people he could not protect. Soil nudged him back to the present, afraid she had offended him. He told her she had been useful. She asked if they could finish the tutorial mission together. He agreed, walking forward without hesitation. She trailed behind him, calling him a bus driver because he was carrying her. He corrected her, telling her to simply call him Woo. The openness shocked her. The system should have censored real names automatically. It hadn't. She hesitated, then asked if he had actually picked transcendence as his core, even though the choice locked him permanently. He confirmed it. Her chat insisted he had ruined his character forever. Only sub-abilities could be changed, never the core. Then she asked how he dodged bullets without a single active skill, and whether he played any other games. He said there was nothing he especially enjoyed. He stopped suddenly. She asked if something was wrong. He said 2 EATL units were positioned 20 meters ahead. She froze. It was impossible. No radar, no scanning skills, no detection sub-elements. There was no way he could know that. But he continued walking. She muttered that it couldn't be real, until she turned the corner and saw the 2 machines, waiting exactly where he said. He walked toward them calmly, speaking as if recalling a memory from another lifetime. He said he used to enjoy playing Coliseum. She shouted in panic as he closed distance. The first machine swung, and he slipped underneath the blow, kicking it into a concrete wall so hard its metal frame bent inward. While the body fell, he mentioned he had been a ranker. Soil blinked in disbelief, still trying to stabilize her aim. The second machine lunged, and he caught its torso, folding its armor until the core snapped in his hand. Her audience erupted, trying to rationalize the impossible. If he was a Coliseum ranker, the movement made sense. Some of the watchers did not understand, but others immediately knew. Coliseum rankers were hand-picked by pro scouts. Their mechanics alone could push them into contracts. The single player who went pro straight from Coliseum was Battler, the most iconic reverse planet competitor in the world. Soil stared at Woohyun, wondering if he had ever faced that legend. They reached the final chamber, and Woohyun froze. The red-haired captain stood waiting, the same man who once blocked their escape in the real laboratory. The captain repeated the same line he had spoken back then, and Woohyun laughed at the cruel symmetry. This moment, this trauma, had been reduced to a tutorial segment. His mind slipped again, voices of his dead companions screaming at him to destroy the captain. The man lunged at him, but Soil reacted, pulling out an assault rifle from nowhere. Her bullets bounced off a particle barrier. Panic surged through her. Only awakened superhumans could deploy such technology. She retreated and yelled that she would support from behind. Her audience mocked her instantly for hiding. Woohyun inhaled, reminding himself this was a game. If breaking this copy satisfied even a fraction of their demand, then he would do it. Woohyun stepped forward and punched the captain in the ribs. The impact shattered the particle barrier like glass and sent the man flying into the wall. Soil and her viewers were silent. Some typed that it had to be a game error, a glitch beyond reason. The captain activated Iron Man, his body hardening into solid metal. The ground cracked beneath every step as he stomped forward, promising to rip Woohyun apart. Woohyun dodged calmly. No power system, no energy shield, only muscle and instinct. The captain's arm spiraled into a drill, but even that could not touch him. Woohyun drove an uppercut into the man's jaw with a single motion and shattered his goggles. The captain hit the floor, and Woohyun warned him not to deactivate his transformation, or he would die too quickly. His comrades' voices drowned out the world, demanding he tear the man apart the way they had been torn. The captain gasped, asking how a mere test subject could be this strong. Woohyun gave him the answer because of him and ripped the body apart piece by piece until nothing was recognizable. Soil watched in shock. Her audience spammed messages calling him insane. She said the tutorial boss was defeated and all that remained was escaping. Woohyun walked away, uncaring. As phantom shapes devoured what was left of the captain, they exited the ruined lab. Completion granted both of them a level and a skill point. Soil asked if he would continue the main quest today. He declined. She asked him to wait. He paused. She turned toward her viewers and announced the end of the stream, bowing and thanking them before logging off. Once Seul's broadcast ended, she asked him about his plans. She proposed that he become a regular on her channel. She could revolve her schedule around him, playing the main quest and occasionally doing PvP sessions. She even offered an appearance fee. He refused. She at least asked to add him as a friend. He accepted. She logged out after thanking him for playing with her. Woohyun finally stood alone. The tutorial was finished, and still the world refused to return him to the other side. Somewhere beyond his awareness, out in reality, viewers donated to the stream and asked a question he never heard. What did it feel like to be back in the real world? The next morning, the Korean branch of planet Earth was in chaos. The development office of Reverse Planet had never seen anything like Woohyun. People gathered around screens, watching the footage again and again. He had no buffs, no stack corrections, and no weapon. Yet he broke the security chief barehanded. Engineers spoke in disbelief, reviewing logs line by line. They checked the database from the moment the character was created, searching for clues of tampering, code injection, or any third-party interference. There was none. They had seen every kind of hack over the years, including speed scripts and auto-aim macros, but none of them explained his movements. Even the most advanced cheating tools couldn't replicate the way he fought. Someone muttered that if it wasn't hacking, then Woohyun had to be insane. Another said there was still a small chance of a new, undetected method. The managers agreed they needed verification. They had no other answer. Later, Woohyun sat across from Nayeon, casually drinking as she stared at him, still shocked. She told him the community was in chaos because of him. People attempted no modification, challenges to prove they could do what. He did and failed, then cried that he was cheating. Nayeon had watched the video too. The way he fought, the brutality of his strikes, the coldness in his movements. It left her speechless. Woohyun asked how she recognized him when his opponent had a privacy filter. His full government ID had been displayed, and she had seen him fight before. He was strong even before all this, but she never expected him to be at that level. When he said the company contacted him, Nayeon's jaw dropped. She panicked, thinking they wanted to accuse him of hacks. He explained that Soil messaged him too, asking about it. Soil told him that a game company stepping in to verify hacks would attract attention across the whole community, and asked if he would accept it. Woohyun answered that he had no real choice. If he could interact with the developers directly, he might find clues related to the other world. It was the first real opportunity to get answers, and he could not ignore it. He told them he would think about it, but deep inside he already knew he would accept. Woohyun agreed. With the amount of attention on him, it was better to clarify everything before the rumor spread further. If he did nothing, the word hacker would follow him everywhere. Woohyun dismissed it, saying he didn't care much. He hadn't shown his face on the stream, so he doubted people would recognize him. Nayeon disagreed. Even if his appearance was different, his fighting style was too unique. Professionals hid their identity all the time, but their movements exposed them. Woohyun muttered that the internet detectives were insane, and she agreed. She told him that without verification, drama would spread and hit everyone connected to him. First, they would attack Woohyun, and then Nayeon. Woohyun didn't want that, so he said he would do it. She blinked, surprised he accepted so easily. She said that with this level of hype, the stream viewer count would skyrocket. Then she laughed, excited, saying people would witness something never seen in Reverse Planet's history. She began preparing the public notice about the hack verification broadcast. The community exploded with speculation. Comment threads spread, stream clips circulated. People waited for the day as if waiting for a world championship match. Some wished to see him fall. Others hoped he was real. Most simply wanted to witness fire and chaos. Woohyun ignored it and focused on the goal. 4 days passed. 4 days later, Woohyun logged in. Nayeon rushed toward him the moment he spawned. She apologized, saying everything was happening because of her. He told her it was fine and asked if she doubted him. She said no. She had seen his movements with her own eyes. When he fought, his eyes did not look like a normal player's. They looked like those of someone who had killed before. And she didn't think a hacker could fake that kind of aura. It was pure instinct. She took a breath, steadying herself, and said it was time to start the broadcast. Her voice echoed across the live chat as she greeted the viewers and thanked them for waiting. Comments exploded in real time. Insults filled the screen, demanding that she kick the hacker out. She checked the viewer count and almost fell out of her seat. 10,000 people were watching. The controversy had drawn the entire community like ants to sugar. She said that was exactly why she invited him, to show the truth. Woohyun introduced himself again, calm and unmoved, and the audience continued flaming him. Nayeon warned the chat to calm down or she would disable it. She wanted to hear what he thought about everything before the verification began. Woohyun said the whole situation was ridiculous. The fact that something so basic had become a controversy made no sense to him. Chat called him arrogant. Nayeon admitted his fight looked too unbelievable not to spark doubt. The viewers spammed questions about proof. Then she said they invited a special guest. A figure materialized without effect or sound. His presence was quiet, absolute. He introduced himself as Baek Woohyun, operations team manager for Planet Earth Korea. The chat broke into chaos. They couldn't believe she actually brought a game master. Woohyun watched Gumhyun carefully. If he was an operations manager, he might know something important, maybe something from beyond the game. If the verification succeeded, he would ask questions. Nayeon and Woohyun introduced themselves to Gumhyun. The manager stared at Woohyun and said he looked normal, at least from the outside. Then he said he would guide them and teleported the group. They arrived in a private training room. The air was silent, sterile. Gumhyun explained that it was used for practicing abilities and combat, and that they would run multiple tests to detect any external program assistant. Woohyun listened. He said he did not remember a place like this in the other world. Gumhyun asked if he consented to testing. Woohyun agreed. That was when the door opened. A mid-tier Etenel stepped forward, its body built for destruction. The moment he saw it, Woohyun's eyes turned black. Echoes of past battles rushed through his mind. Images of comrades lost. Their voices whispered, asking for vengeance. The room became a battlefield from another life. Gumhyun began to explain the rules, but the ground shook before he finished. The monster lunged, but Woohyun was no longer beside them. Dust and debris shot across the room as the first blow landed. Gumhyun turned to look, barely raising his clipboard in time to shield his face from the impact. The viewers watched in silence as Woohyun dismantled the mid-tier Etenel with nothing but his bare fists. Within minutes, the test was over. The Etenel collapsed in pieces. The verification program completed its scan, analyzing every movement, every input, every connection to external software. Gumhyun read the result aloud. No signs of hacking. Woohyun had done it with his own hands. Gumhyun reviewed the results, his voice steady but unsatisfied. They had found no trace of external programs during the last fight, yet the verification was too short. He proposed a second test, one that would be fought in a method they specified. Woohyun accepted immediately, understanding the intent. They wanted to confirm he was not using an autopilot cheat system, the kind that mimicked player input but lacked the instinct and improvisation of a real human. Those systems could not react exactly the way a human wanted. They followed simple scripts, predetermined routes, perfect in theory but lifeless in execution. Gumhyun explained the rule in plain terms. Slash the heads of 3 training bots with the sickle. Nothing more. Woohyun agreed. The request was lopsided, but he did not hesitate. Gumhyun couldn't understand why a player would accept so easily, yet he still could not imagine this man losing. The gate opened and the bots shot forward like electric eels, their limbs snapping in unison. All 3 closed in and struck for the head at the same moment, coordinated like a single body. Before the blows landed, Woohyun twisted through the air, catching the closest bot by its arm and hurling it aside. His feet slid once across the ground, then the sickle flashed. The other 2 fell in a single dash, beheaded cleanly. Their bodies crashed to the floor like discarded husks while he walked past them without looking back. Soil muttered in disbelief, remembering what she had seen before. The sickle didn't move like an object, but like something alive. Chat messages poured in, some claiming the weapon itself was broken, others insisting it was his skill that made it terrifying. Gumhyun announced that the result was enough for verification, yet as an administrator he could not stop himself. He wanted to see if Woohyun could fight an advanced training bot while using only 1 core ability. It was pure greed, but he wanted to witness it. The gate opened again. A humanoid machine stepped forward, heavier, taller, built with a frame that suggested violence. The chat erupted instantly, calling the admin reckless and toxic. The robot looked like something from Robot, cold metal, featureless expression, a silent face that promised no mercy. Gumhyun stated calmly that this would be the final verification. It was a later version, the Ethiel, an advanced model. The name alone made Woohyun freeze. The last time he faced this thing, his comrades were torn apart beside him. He remembered the way its faceplate bent upward like a smile when it pierced their bodies. Rage flickered through him. Before he could position himself, the Ethiel lunged. Its fist cut the air and grazed his cheek as he dodged. 3 more strikes followed instantly, each blow cracking with shockwave force. Woohyun moved like a shadow, letting them smash into the wall behind him, explosions of concrete and metal shards scattering. Intermediate bots could not be compared to this. One hit from this version would be enough to cripple him. He struck its side, testing it, and felt the blow rebound. Its armor was no standard alloy. He could barely leave a dent. The machine punched again, a sweeping arc that could have taken his head off, and he slipped beneath it. His breathing slowed. If he couldn't break it in a single blow, then he would break it through accumulation. A barrage followed, silent, methodical, relentless. The sickle struck again and again, each hit landing on plates, joints, seams. The robot stumbled, blocking, resetting, forced backwards. Gumhyun could hardly speak as he watched. For a player to stand against the advanced Ethiel with one core ability was unreal. Minutes ago, it seemed like Woohyun was being pushed back, but the tide had flipped. The bot was now entirely defensive, reacting instead of acting, and every strike he landed pushed it further into retreat. It became obvious that the test didn't need to continue. The bot vanished, dismissed with a command. Woohyun blinked at the empty air where the machine had stood. Gumhyun explained it simply. He had already collected enough data to verify the results. Soil asked how the verification turned out. Gumhyun confirmed it clearly. No external program, no hidden system, no cheat. Woohyun was not a hacker. The chat split like lightning, half celebrating the verdict, the other half refusing to accept it. Soil repeated that she had told everyone from the start that he wasn't cheating. A nickname began circulating, Haxel, a fusion of hacks and muscle. She admitted she liked it, then reminded them all that Woohyun was not using hacks. He was just a high-level mechanical player. Now that the verification was finished, she asked him how he felt. He only gave a simple farewell, thanking them for their work. Gumhyun let out a rough laugh, saying the experience had been fun. Soil closed the stream. Viewer count: more than 100,000. She thanked Woohyun and Gumhyun for appearing. Gumhyun said he was grateful that Woohyun accepted the request at all, and Woohyun shrugged it off as nothing. Gumhyun turned to leave, but Woohyun stopped him. He asked a single question, whether the game had ever experienced a bug where players became stuck for a long time. Gumhyun answered immediately. He had never heard of anything like that. If such a catastrophic bug existed, the game would never have grown as big as it had. Woohyun nodded, accepting the logic. Gumhyun walked out. Soil sighed, exhausted but satisfied. She said she would return to her stream and planned to share part of the revenue with him, asking if she could contact him later. He told her he didn't need the money, but she could call him. She grinned, reluctant to let him go, saying he was a walking clip generator. He asked what else she wanted. She admitted she couldn't bring herself to ask him to stream again, because the only reason he accepted this session was to explain himself. She said she needed to draw a line here for today and that she would call him next time. Woohyun felt a mild disappointment as he left. He had hoped for more information, not entertainment. A message arrived from Neon. She would meet him in the battle preparation room. He headed there with quiet, steady steps, thinking about the earlier fights, the feeling of the Ethiel's armor under his blade, and the silence that came after the crowd disappeared. Neon arrived not long after. She asked how it felt to be on a stream for the first time. He corrected her calmly. It had been his second time. Streaming did not suit him. He had to watch every word the viewers threw at him. The noise, the judgment, it irritated him. Neon nodded thoughtfully. In that case, she said, he could just play without caring about the viewers. She would arrange everything and he could decide after trying it. He avoided her eyes, hesitant, but she pushed forward. She said it was time for PvP. Woohyun paused. PvP was one of the 2 major pillars of Reverse Planet, a mode where players fought directly against one another. He asked whether that was truly why she had called him. She responded without hesitation. Did he plan to leave without playing a single match with her? He said it simply didn't suit him. He thought of quitting for a while. He wanted to return to the other world. Neon didn't let up. PvP was the heart of the game, she told him. He shouldn't make conclusions after only experiencing the tutorial. His expression shifted slightly. Story mode resembled the world he had lived in, but PvP was something he had never seen. Maybe there was something new there, something not bound to that other life. He agreed to try, and she began explaining. She laid out the PvP modes: Showdown, direct combat between matched opponents, either 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2. Warfare, team-based, 5 against 5 in large-scale fights. Their match would be the third type, a battle royale. Only the last player or the last surviving team would win. Since it would be his first time, she insisted they enter as a team. He would need a proper build to perform. She could recommend one, but he dismissed it. He already had a build, one, modeled after the abilities that made him a superhuman in the other world. He would prepare it while she went live. Nayeon nodded. They would start at the military base, a high-risk drop point, high-tier equipment, the kind of place strong players jumped into willingly. She asked if she could record the match for YouTube. He told her to go ahead. The world around them began loading, the simulation forming from digital fragments. Military base. Nayeon salute Woohyun, saying good luck. Hey there, everyone. Today, we're talking about how to keep love fresh. Firstly, plan some surprise events for your partner to heat up your relationship on memorable days. Being honest and open with your partner about your feelings is also important. Remember, love isn't just about feelings. It's also about actions. If you truly care for someone, you'll take the necessary steps to keep that love alive and vibrant. So here's a tip. Don't hesitate to express your feelings of affection toward your partner. They need to feel cherished too. Let's stay positive and keep love alive. We see a man get stabbed in the chest as Woohyun eliminates yet another person. He says he can't feel the presence of any other players, and so the guy must have been the last survivor around here. Even so, he didn't expect to face 4 people at once as soon as he came down the stairs. Their attacks came from multiple angles, and every step he took was greeted by another desperate attempt to survive, but none of them could withstand him. Now that he's done with this, it's time for him to get out. His breathing steadies as he begins to move. The floor stained with the aftermath of the close-range battle that just ended. Then he hears Na telling him she needs help, saying she's surrounded by too many people. The urgency in her voice cuts through all other sounds. He opens the map, seeing where she is, and says that she's quite far away. There is no hesitation. He tells her he's on the way, asking where in the building she is. She responds that she's on the 3rd floor's roof, and the noise from downstairs is overwhelming. She says every floor has someone fighting on it, the chaos spreading like wildfire. He says he'll deal with it and starts sprinting straight toward her location without wasting another moment. 2 of the men who were fighting turn toward Woohyun, stepping between him and the stairs. One of them begins to activate his ability, but it's already too late. Woohyun unsheathes his knife in a single fluid motion and cuts the man's arm off at the joint, eliminating him instantly. The other stumbles back in panic, realizing the sudden shift in momentum. He yells that Woohyun must be a physical type and launches his ability toward him, desperate to create space. Woohyun leaps into the air to avoid it, using the forward momentum to close the distance. The man, stunned at the precision and speed of the movement, looks up only to have his neck sliced an instant later. That's yet another elimination, and Woohyun continues cutting down the players in his path. His route becomes a trail of clean, decisive kills. His pace doesn't slow as he tells Na that he's at the front gate of the building. She asks if she should come down to support him, but he tells her to stay right where she is. He reaches for the handle of the entrance and pauses. He says that there are 5 people inside. When he opens the door, we see a man hiding behind it, convinced he's landed a surprise attack. He lunges in from the blind angle, but Woohyun grabs his wrist mid-swing. The man looks up in confusion, and before he can react, Woohyun punches him 3 times in the chest, killing him instantly. The rest of the room freezes for a breath, and Woohyun moves. Again, he says that he needs to pick up the pace and starts hauling upstairs, eliminating everybody in his way with the same cold precision. The rooftop door opens. Nayeon is waiting there, surprised by the kill feed filling the screen, saying that he's smurfing. She senses someone behind her and whirls to attack, but misses. It was Woohyun, who can't believe she reacted that way. She says that it scared her and she didn't notice him until he was right beside her. But she also points out that she wouldn't expect anything less from someone who already has 14 kills. He wonders if he even needed to come here at all. She asks if he took out all the enemies in the building already, but he remains more interested in the chainsaw she's using. She explains it's the only thing she could find around here. She laughs and says she can't lose to him now and that now that. They're together, she'll carry him for the rest of the game. He simply answers, sure. Eventually, the game ends with him in first place. He gets 25 kills and 7 assists, while she gets 7 kills and 15 assists. The match closes, but this doesn't just happen once. It repeats. They do it again and again and again. It turns out they actually won 10 times in a row. She says she's too tired to play anymore, so they should stop for the night. She says she thought he was just an ordinary college student, but it turns out he's a killing machine, and she's going to get him on her stream. She tells him to wait for 2 days without doing his main missions, and she'll bring an official offer. He tells her he's not interested. She pushes back, tells him to listen, promises to bring a good one, and says she'll see him later. After she leaves, he admits he couldn't get any hints from the PvP either. Meanwhile, we see Soil on her phone, kicking her feet in excitement. She is scrolling through the forum, reading how a lot of people are talking about her and Woohyun. She starts rolling around saying this is a jackpot. She had over 100,000 viewers, and she doesn't think something like this will ever happen again in her career. Soil wishes she could keep streaming with him, so maybe she should have tried a bit harder. But it looks like he already made up his mind. She decides to check the revenue and her jaw drops, stunned at the amount they made. The next day, we see Woohyun and Nayeon sitting at a cafe. He says he was wondering why she called him here so suddenly, asking what she's even looking at. And she says it's a PowerPoint she made to persuade him. She asks what he thinks of it. He wonders why she spent the entire night on this, and she reminds him that he said it was okay as long as the streamer only had him playing the game. Nayeon explains she was thinking about doing it as a reality show, a broadcast format where multiple cast members gather in the studio and watch recorded footage of other cast members. He plays the game and she handles the communication. If he feels it isn't enough with just her, they can bring in a pro commentator. She says the profit will be a 6-to-4 ratio, asking if that isn't a good idea. He says he's really not interested. She tells him he doesn't understand how much stream profits really are, then pauses, realizing he must have gotten his share from Soil already. Woohyun says he did get an email from her this morning. Nayeon tells him his portion is 6 million won and mentions a funny donation message she thought she should share. She becomes excited again, asking if he still isn't interested. He wonders what the message is. Then he sees it. Anonymous viewer 62, the same number as his lab number, says it's good to see him again, asking how it feels to be back in reality, and saying they have a special mission for him. They add that they will only see him when he's streaming. Woohyun knows immediately that based on them using his lab number and showing awareness of him being from the other world, this must be someone related to it. He asks Nayeon if it's possible to find out the donor's information. She says it isn't because of privacy laws, and you can't even message them first. He can only communicate during a stream. He tells her he'll do it then, that he'll start streaming. Nayeon tells him there are no takebacks, and Woohyun tells her he wants to do this instead. Sometime later on a Friday evening, people gather in their own ways to enjoy their leisure, each with their own expectations. Those who proudly call themselves nerds sit in front of their computers, waiting for one thing, and that is Woohyun's stream. 5 minutes before it begins, at the broadcast studio in Reverse Planet, we see Nayeon trembling with nerves. Her cast member tells her she is too nervous and reminds her that they prepared thoroughly, so there shouldn't be any problems. When he received the call to be on today's broadcast, he was nervous as well. He is a professional commentator for Reverse Planet named Cha Chong Cheol, and Cheol admits he never thought anyone other than her would call Woohyun to a stream. He laughs, saying that as soon as Nayeon told him she was his friend, Cheol promised to appear on the show. The timer counts down, and it is almost time for them to go live, so they both prepare and activate the broadcast. They greet the audience, and immediately the comments ask where Woohyun is, impatiently demanding to bring him on now. Nayeon tells them many are confused, but they will not be seeing Woohyun in the studio. She tells them not to be disappointed because he is already in the game. On screen, we see him standing there wearing a mask to hide his identity. Nayeon explains that their show, Hack Cycle, named because his nickname is Hack Sakal, will proceed in the form of a reality show. They are going to commentate while watching him play the game, and she is sure everyone is dying to know how he plays Reverse Planet. She tells them that together they will find out. Nayeon then messages Woohyun and tells him to get started. He acknowledges with a brief response and says it is time for him to begin. Woohyun radios in, starting the main mission. Pass through the guards searching for the test subject and join the Otherworld Management Bureau located outside the forest. He says it is the same as last time. Back in that world, he only focused on running away, but this time he will do the opposite. He screams at the top of his lungs, shouting at the guards to look over here, and all of them turn, immediately recognizing a target. They attempt to jump him from all directions. Woohyun reaches for his sickle, saying he is going to kill them all as the voices of his comrades in his head urge him to do so. The guards open fire, spraying bullets from every angle, but he ducks and shifts through the chaos. His movements sharp and violent. He slices one of the men's rifles in half, triggering an explosion. The debris cuts through the air as he throws himself forward, killing the nearest guard and then another, moving through the mission path like a weapon unleashed. His advance continues as he cuts down more of the guards, pushing toward the Bureau's location. In the broadcast studio, Nayeon and Cheol stare at the screen. They say this is not the reverse planet they know. Cheol says he has never seen anything like this in his entire career. He explains that Woohyun does not have a strategy in the usual sense. He is gathering every enemy at once, refusing to break his momentum. The chat scrolls in disbelief. Some say they thought he had lost his mind when he screamed, but now they realize he didn't. Comments appear saying that his skill, transcendence, must be broken. Nayeon asks Cheol what he thinks. He says he can tell that is not the case. Most skills have unique cooldowns. Because of that, it may seem like Woo Hyun's build is overpowered since he can use his core abilities without cooldown, but transcendence only enhances the physical abilities of the user. It does not affect his battle intelligence or weapon proficiency. Not only that, he is not using any buffs at all. And if he exaggerated just a little, he could fight like this in real life if he possessed the same physical abilities. In other words, only Woohyun can bring out Transcendence's true potential. The audience chat explodes in excitement, calling him insane, calling him unstoppable, calling him the real monster of Reverse Planet. Woohyun notices something as another squad approaches and surrounds him. The man in charge introduces himself as Kim Cheol of the Otherworld Management Bureau, ordering Woohyun to drop his weapon and surrender. The Bureau is exactly what its name implies. A government department that eliminates invading entities from dimensional gates. It traps and destroys dangerous entities within the reverse planet where dimensions mix. Woohyun says Director Kim is a team leader and he knows him, but he did not expect to meet him here. Director Kim tells his men that he must be a victim who escaped the laboratory and apologizes for mistaking him as an enemy. Woohyun says it is no problem. Then they notice the walkie-talkie in his hand. Woohyun explains that an agent gave it to him and said something about the lab. Director Kim says the poor agent must have died. Woohyun replies that Kim is the same as he was in the other world. Director Kim then tells him that in that case, he should stay at the Bureau until they confirm his identity. Woohyun agrees, completing the quest and earning a level up along with an ability point. At headquarters, he stands in a room he never thought he would enter. In the other world, after escaping the lab, he gathered funds for revenge by taking requests from a firm. He accepted assassinations, abductions, anything they offered. The most significant jobs were the subjugation missions against Reverse Planet's monsters. The firm commissioned him to clear Reverse Planets, aiming for spoils of battle, and whenever they decided the loot was useless, they dumped the cleanup onto him. Doing this meant constant entanglement with the Bureau. Sometimes they cooperated during subjugation operations. Other times conflicts erupted and they ended up pointing blades at each other. A woman enters, greeting him. Her name is Lee Yoo-jin, affiliated with the first team of the Bureau. People in the studio start hyping her up when they recognize her on screen. Woohyun recognizes her as well. She tells him he has come a long way and now has two choices. The first option is to live as a normal person under Bureau protection. If he chooses that, the use of his ability will be prohibited. The second option is to become affiliated with them. If he chooses that route, he will not act as an official agent. But after a certain amount of training, he will be sent on missions once they decide he is ready. Woohyun says he killed one of their agents in that world, but now they are asking him to become their agent. Lee Yoo-jin does not answer immediately. She watches him carefully, waiting to hear which option he will choose. Woohyun listened to her offer quietly, weighing the options. If he chose to remain a civilian, he would eventually take contracts from corporations just as he had in the other world, accepting assassination jobs, subjugation requests, dangerous errands, all to earn the money that paid for his path of revenge. He had already lived that life once. He had walked that bloody road until there was nothing left but corpses and a burning need to survive. He refused to walk it again. He told her he would become one of their agents. Lee Yoo-jin reacted with excitement, saying he made the right choice. His joining would be of tremendous help. Other corporations had been scouting Awaken users recently, and the Bureau was short on manpower. Lee Yoo-jin explained that she was not speaking as an agent defending her workplace. Many people who signed with corporations regretted it. Since the companies were still in the early stages of training the Awakened, they lacked the experience needed. The Bureau, on the other hand, was an organization with a long history, carrying vast knowledge on training, Awaken ability users, and subjugating Reverse Planet. Of course, the League of Enterprises offered better financial rewards, but their missions were far more dangerous. Woohyun told her that in the other world, many Awakened died under those corporate contracts. Some contracts went unpaid, and he was forced to carve the payments out of them by force. When the corporations discovered he was an unregistered Awakened, everything turned violent. They hunted him relentlessly. That was when he met Director Kim for the first time. as an enemy and as an obstacle that he tore through to survive. Woohyun said she would request his Awaken registration from the Bureau's IT team. The system marked a newly received bonus listed for business use only. He asked what he should begin with, and she explained he would undergo training. Once they confirmed his ability, he would be promoted. She hoped he would be dispatched to Team 1, her team. Woohyun said he hoped the same. He owed her his life in that other world. Despite their later clashes, she led the raid on the laboratory that allowed him and his comrades to escape. They had survived, but they had not lasted long afterward. He remembered the exhaustion on their faces. He remembered their final breaths. Woohyun said she looked forward to working with him. In the broadcast studio, Nayeon stared at the stream feed, unable to understand how Woohyun was having such natural conversation with an NPC. She had never spoken to one like this. Even Cheol sat without words, studying the screen in disbelief. The last time she tried talking to that same character, the replies were stiff and mechanical, almost robotic. Now the words were fluid, adaptive, like the NPC was a person. The chat exploded. They never knew this was possible. They said the game was unbelievable. They accused the streamer of playing a hidden version or having access to developer tools. The announcers described it: fully adaptive AI, a type of NPC that could respond to any situation, behave within context, and react seamlessly. Unlike the preset NPCs, these responded freely. Keol said this level of technology consumed a massive amount of resources, to the point most believed it impossible to implement in a commercial game. Nayeon wondered if maybe the developers solved the problem. Keol doubted it. He guessed it might be an Easter egg, maybe connected with something called Zero Combat Assistance. He leaned into his mic, saying the forums would explode once the clips went live. He said he would be staying awake personally, anticipating what the dev team from planet Earth would announce. He knew a woman deeply interested in the game's storyline who would be intrigued, and he might recruit her as a guest on the next broadcast. She was a huge figure in the community, but for today, they were at the end of their allotted time. Nayeon announced that the quest portion was over, and the show would switch to PvP content. Woohyun walked toward the PvP area. He muttered that viewer 62 had not shown up yet. He remembered what he told Nayeon at the cafe. If any donation or message came from viewer 62, she was to notify him immediately. He didn't care how chaotic the situation was. Since she hadn't contacted him, he would continue streaming. He signaled he was ready. Nayeon announced the day's content: Showdown. It would be his first time playing it. Keol explained that meant he would begin in the normal league. Reverse Planet had 8 ranks, and he needed to win 10 matches in the normal league. A professional player usually needed 30 minutes. The average player took 2 hours. Someone on stream said if he hit bronze in 30 minutes, they would pay him a fat reward. Nayeon relayed it to him, asking if he could go 10 wins in 30 minutes. Woohyun simply raised his fingers in the shape of an OK. The chat began calling him cocky. Nayeon said things were getting exciting. Cheol said he was eager to see whether Woohyun could complete the challenge. Then the atmosphere shifted. As Woohyun spawned 10 seconds before the round, the casters noticed something wrong in the best possible way. He was using a weapon none of them had seen him use before. They realized they had not understood just how much they had underestimated him. The first round began. His opponent started casting a spell, but before he could finish the chant, his body separated into 4 perfect pieces. Woohyun had ended the fight in less than 2 seconds. The casters froze, their reactions lagging behind the footage. The next round started. The opponent recognized immediately he was fighting a Smurf and surrendered before the fight even began. Woohyun won another match, then the third. His opponent lunged at him using physical enhancements, but he was cut down in an instant. Again and again it continued. Each match was shorter than the last. The stream timer ticked upward, disbelief rising in the chat. The total time for 10 consecutive victories was 20 minutes. Lightning fast. Even professional players took longer. The studio sat stunned. Nayeon said it was incredible and also unfair. She revealed she was actually diamond tier and had never seen anything like that. The chat spammed messages asking what they just witnessed. Woohyun had broken every professional record with casual precision. Cheol pointed out that the time alone was impressive, but the match record was the real shock. Most players stumbled when they met counters or tricky builds, but he ignored everything. It did not matter what his opponents used, he simply erased them. He earned the money from the viewer who made the bet. The viewer declared him insane. Nayeon thanked him while half screaming in disbelief, excited to see how he would perform in ranked matches. Chul looked worried. Nayeon asked why. He explained that since the stream was live, players could attempt to stream snipe him. It would not be easy to succeed, though, and maybe he was worried for nothing. Someone in chat typed that he had just jinxed it. Woohyun loaded into his first ranked solo match, spawning in a location called the cemetery. A player on the other side of the match spoke openly, saying he successfully got in. He told the chat to stay alert because he was going to destroy him. The chat filled with laughter. They already knew what would happen. Woohyun drew his blades. The commentators noticed he wasn't affected in the slightest. Nayeon said she told him before, ignore it when people try things like this. The match countdown hit 0. The stream sniper rushed him first. Lightning burst from his hands as he leaped, rapid attacks flashing around Woohyun's mask. Every strike missed. Woohyun read the openings, weaving through blows that would pierce lesser players. He said he wanted to give his opponent a chance, since he had been confident at the start, but now it was clear it was a waste of time. His blade cut through the man's torso. The streamer called him a monster as the round ended. They entered the second round. 10 seconds to adjust builds. The sniper muttered he would lose if he didn't use something special. Woohyun sensed the aura around him shift. When the fight began, the man attacked faster, hitting harder, every movement sharper than before. Woohyun compared the motions to those of an Etenel, efficient to a frightening degree. The man laughed, asking if he understood, saying he held back in the first round. Woohyun lifted his guard, remembering the words Nayeon told him earlier. If he ever met someone who called him a hacker, he should destroy them thoroughly. He steadied his stance. The blade angled forward, and he prepared to do exactly that. Now the other dude realizes that the atmosphere has changed, but he still insists there's no need to be scared. He keeps saying that no matter how he looks at the situation, he's at the advantage, repeating the line to convince himself. He tells Woohyun to stop trying to be cool and once more calls him a hacker. Woohyun doesn't respond. He simply leaps forward, dashing across the battlefield, and his blade grazes across the opponent's body in a blur. The guy turns ready to counter, but it's already too late. Woohyun has moved behind him again, silent and unreadable. The guy tries to adjust, realizes it too late, and then his arm gets cut off cleanly. He panics and rears back his fist to punch in retaliation, but the second arm is sliced off as well. The blood splatters on the gravestones around them. The dude begins crying, screaming that this isn't fair, and both Chol and Nayeon see immediately what's happening. Woohyun isn't trying to win, he's toying with him. Chol says, almost in disbelief, that it looks like Woohyun is following Nayeon's advice perfectly. Nayeon responds that she did tell him to destroy the opponent, but not like this. She says this is too much, but the chat is already laughing and blaming her for creating a monster. They keep spamming messages about how she encouraged him, saying she unleashed something she can't control. The dude heals himself, and later we see him lying up against one of the graves, exhausted, shaking, and he asks Woohyun, "What the hell are you?" Woohyun just stands there and replies that he wanted to ask him that before finishing the second round. After that match, he keeps going. His momentum becomes unstoppable. He doesn't slow down, doesn't hesitate, and he proceeds to win 30 matches in a row. Every scoreboard flashes with his name. His victories piling up faster than anyone expects. Nayeon says that he's already at gold rank, and Seochul chimes in, saying he never thought he'd see someone reach a 30-win streak on their very first stream. The chat erupts, begging to see his build. They start flooding the screen with demands, wanting to know his stats, his skill tree, his weapon set, anything they can copy. So Nayeon asks Woohyun directly if it's okay to show his build. She says that if he doesn't want to, he can say no and they'll drop it. Woohyun simply says, sure, that's all. Nayeon immediately announces that she has great news for all the chatters, and that Woohyun has agreed to reveal his build. People go crazy, amazed at how confident he is to leak it publicly. They call him fearless and insane. Nayeon says they'll reveal it next stream. As the current one wraps up, they start bowing and telling everyone they'll see them next time. Right after the stream ends, Chol goes wild. He says that it was amazing, like he can't even process what just happened. He goes through the highlights in pure shock. The fully adaptive NPC interaction, the 30-win streak, even revealing the build. He talks rapidly, saying the video is going to blow up, that the algorithm will eat it alive. Nayeon says that at this rate, Woohyun might beat the world record. She wonders aloud what the highest win streak actually is. Chol says it's 76, and it's held by Battler, who did it on a Smurf. She reacts with a hopeful tone, saying she wants Woohyun to beat it. Chol agrees, but warns that Battler is famous for his competitiveness, and if he isn't watching already, he will soon. Somewhere else, a man scrolls through the forums. People are talking about how the cheater Woohyun fought got completely destroyed and then banned. They're laughing at how the guy called Woo Hyun a cheater and then lost to him in seconds. Someone even says that Battler wouldn't stand a chance against Woohyun. We then see Battler himself reading the post. He says, "That's a pretty funny comment." And we understand that he was the one scrolling through everything. A few days later, on his second stream, Woohyun tells the chat that viewer 62 didn't appear last time and that there must be something else he needs to do. Then a familiar voice calls out to him, "Eugene." The chat explodes again with reactions, shocked at how pretty she looks. Repeating messages asking who she is. She tells him that it's his first practical mission, asking if he isn't nervous. Woo-Hyun says that the mission came earlier than he expected, but he's fine. He explains that as soon as he logged into the game, the mission popped up, and he's glad he can skip training since it's just a game. He asks Eugene what the mission is about. She says that they're to eliminate invading entities located close to space. She explains that it's another area the League of Enterprises abandoned. They don't say much to the Bureau because the Bureau can be useful, but the moment they can't extract enough from something, they just throw it away like this. Whoa! Hyun says that corporations here aren't any different from those in the real world. According to the status window, the invaders are insect type. He says they're weak, but annoying to fight because there are so many. Some guards approach and greet Eugene. They verify her credentials and allow her to enter. She looks around and says this is crazy, that it's her first time seeing a portal appear in an abandoned factory. Woohyun walks toward it, staring at the gate, and says he had been wondering why it felt familiar. He has seen this place in the other world, but he clearly remembers it being medium-sized, not small. He wonders if there was a mistake. Eugene says they should go ahead and start. Then a man's voice echoes behind them, saying he's surprised to see them there and asking what brings Eugene to a small-scale subjugation. His name is Choi Hyung-cheol. Eugene asks what he's doing here. Hyung-cheol says he's just as shocked as she is. He didn't expect their missions to overlap. She asks what he's plotting since he threw away his mission already. He calls that mean and wonders who the new guy is, saying that surely Woo-Hyun didn't waste his time in the Bureau just to chase after big corporations. Eugene's tone sharpens and she tells him not to cross the line. He laughs, says that was scary, and waves, telling her she can handle the mission. He leaves. Woo-Hyun asks who he was. Eugene says he was the first trainee agent she worked with, and ever since he left the Bureau after being scouted by the League, Hyung-cheol has been spreading fake rumors about them. She pulls out a piece of candy and asks if Woo-Hyun wants one. Chol says this is the first time their relationship has been shown in detail. Nayeon says she's never seen anything like this before, that it was originally only stated something bad happened between them. Chol says that thanks to this, they might get a more in-depth story about their past. Eugene says it's time to head into the gate. They step forward and disappear inside. Outside, we see Woo-Hyun Cho and his men. He says it looks like they went in, and now it's time for him to start working. He licks his lips like a freak, hungry for whatever plan he has in mind. 20 minutes later, inside the reverse planet, Woo-Hyun stands in silence. He wipes blood off his face and looks down at Eugene, bleeding heavily on the ground. Her candy lies right beside her, untouched. The portal rippled like an unstable mirror. Eugene explained that once they crossed, they would enter the reverse world. Woo-Hyun listened quietly, thinking it was just like the other world he had seen before. The ground trembled beneath them. A sudden flash tore through the air, and Eugene shouted for him to watch out. Light swallowed everything. When his vision returned, he was standing alone in the middle of a dense forest. The silence was sharp, and the trees stretched endlessly around him. He muttered that they must have been separated, that sudden collapses were normal when external pressure disrupted the portal. His first objective was clear: eliminate the bugs swarming this world before searching for Eugene. The forest shook with movement as creatures burst from the underbrush, chittering and snapping. He drew his blade and went to work. Eugene was not idle. Somewhere else in the forest, her palm glowed with golden energy. She slammed her hand into the ground, unleashing echoing thunder. Lightning cracked out like a radiating pulse, tearing the insects apart. The world around her lit in violent arcs as bodies scattered through the smoke. She muttered that they just kept coming, and the size of this forest felt more like a mid-scale planet than a small reverse world. Something was wrong. She worried about Woo-Hyun, then turned sharply as a shot streaked toward her. The blade grazed her side, heat searing across skin. She spun and lashed back, but Hyung-cheol had already stepped away, calm and smiling as more of his men emerged from the trees. She asked why he was doing this. He answered casually, just a secret mission following orders. She could hate the situation, but not him. More shadows circled her. She grimaced. The cut was too deep. She needed to escape before they tightened the noose. She fired a strike at the target in front of her, but a shimmering stone barrier materialized. His skill, Guardian Stone, shielded him, yet the shockwave blasted him onto his back. She sprinted past before any of them could recover. Young Chol barked a command. His men chased her through tangled roots and broken trees. She skidded to a halt, summoned a lightning lance, and hurled it behind her. The weapon speared into the ground just in front of the pursuers. The blast cracked the earth and delayed their movement. She ran harder, breath shaking in her chest. A narrow hollow appeared. She dove into it as her pursuers rushed past. Hidden in the dark soil, she steadied her breathing and whispered that without the hole, things would have been bad. She didn't know what they were planning, but it was bigger than she expected. Woohyun continued cutting through swarms. The chat exploded with excitement, praising every clean strike. His sword trails were short arcs of silver, slicing through the insect bodies in seconds. He paused. Something tugged at him, a faint echo of Yujin's presence. Something had happened to him. Then, through the forest, he heard her voice. He sprinted in a straight line, ignoring every enemy in his way. A centipede beast had wrapped her like a constricting rope, its mandibles gnashing. Woohyun vaulted forward and severed its head with a single blow. Yujin fell. He caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was bruised and bleeding. It was impossible for someone at her level to suffer this much from mere bugs. The injuries came from a skill, and given the situation, that left one name. He asked if it was Hyung Choel. She nodded weakly, and he muttered that they must have entered right after the phenomenon. Outside the game, the stream crew watched the situation unfold. Nayeon leaned forward, uneasy. She said that this was strange. Hyung Choel usually waited before ambushing. The chat agreed. They speculated that the AI was interfering with the normal progression. Chol said that this might be a hidden storyline, and if so, it was only beginning. Inside the reverse world, Yujin struggled to keep her eyes open. Yujin confessed that she had barely escaped, but she didn't know when he would strike again. Using her abilities would expose her location. They needed to leave immediately. Woohyun told her to hide and recover, that he would handle the rest. Yujin snapped at him. Hyung Chol was a veteran awakened. He could not fight him. He replied that he would be fine. He had a plan. Elsewhere, Young Chol prowled through the trees, annoyed. He muttered that she was injured. She couldn't have gone far. They swept along the creek, searching. He gestured for his men to spread out. Then his instincts flared. He spun and slashed backward. His blade halted a hair away from Woohyun's throat. Woohyun flinched and began sobbing, pleading for him to wait. Hyung Chol stared, confused. Woohyun spoke like a frightened rookie. Saying the path collapsed, he got separated, asking if Hyung Chol knew what happened. The chat watching him could barely breathe. His acting was too real. They joked that he deserved an award. Hyung Chol narrowed his eyes. Woohyun didn't know anything. That much was clear. What would happen, Hyung Choel said, was simple. If Woohyun slept a bit, he would meet her again. His hand rose to finish it. The blade moved, hungry for the kill. In that instant, steel flashed. Blood sprayed through the moonlit trees. Woohyun's sword pierced Hyung's chest, driven with calm precision. His expression was cold, not afraid. There was no fear in his eyes. Hyung Chol finally understood what had happened. The pain hit him first, then the realization. His legs gave out and he dropped to his knees. His face twisted, disbelief and shock crawling across it. The live audience exploded. Some laughed, saying he deserved the hit. Others replayed the moment, stunned by the acceleration Woohyun showed. Behind him, his men rushed forward, shouting for their boss as Woohyun faded from sight, melting back into the brush. One of the subordinates stepped forward, promising that he would handle it. Another moved to chase after Woohyun's trail. The forest swallowed him. Up above, hidden in the branches, Woohyun waited. His breath was steady. The man below spun in circles, muttering that he couldn't have gone far. Leaves fell as Woohyun dropped behind him. The grunt turned in surprise, stuttering something about a bird before the blade slit his throat. He dropped soundlessly. It was quick, silent, efficient. Woohyun landed lightly and vanished again. Back at Hyung Chol's side, one of the remaining men desperately tried to stop the bleeding, shouting that his boss had to stay conscious. He wrapped cloth around the wound, insisting that if he could only hold on, they could treat him once they retreated. Something cut the air above them. Metal fell from the sky like judgment, stabbing directly into the open wound. Hyung Choel spasmed, the pain ripping his voice apart. His last guard turned to the attacker, screaming that he was insane. He demanded to know where his missing comrade was. Woohyun lifted his hand, holding the man's own blade. The last hunter froze, recognizing it instantly, and the fury on his face sharpened. He roared that Woohyun would pay for that. The earth split beneath him as he summoned jagged spears from the ground, launching them forward. Stone edge tore through the terrain. Woohyun cut through the first volley, slicing the stone lances apart as if they were branches. The hunter panted and forced more power into the ground, shouting that he wasn't done. The soil rippled like a living ocean. The earth wave rolled toward Woohyun, crushing trees and swallowing dirt. Woohyun glanced aside, grabbed a tree trunk with a kick, and forced it down. The broken trunk braced against another tree, creating a barrier against the coming landslide. The hunter stared at him in horror. He called Woohyun a monster as the earth roared again. A horn of stone shot up from beneath the soil, stone horn grazing Woohyun's arm and tearing skin. It was the first clean hit on him since the fight began. The hunter kept screaming, launching attack after attack, telling him to stay away. Woohyun stepped through the barrage slowly, every movement steady, ignoring the pain burning down his arm. He reached the hunter, blade sweeping across the man's chest. The body dropped with a final whisper, "Impossible," before it hit the ground. The chat outside the mission erupted. Viewers admitted they forgot to breathe, stunned by how calmly he dismantled 3 awakened hunters. Nayeon remained silent for several seconds, then asked if he had truly taken down 3 hunting dogs with only one key element. Seong-cheol choked on his excitement, rambling with no filter. Woohyun checked the battlefield, speaking calmly. He took 2 of them in an ambush, he said, and still he fell short compared to the other world. The Stonehorn attack had caught him off guard. He crouched, studying the scattered items, then picked up Hyung-cheol's phone. A mission message flickered on the cracked screen, talking about orders and objectives. He closed it and muttered that the Bureau could have the investigation, but he would take the loot, Keen Dagger of Return, which increased blade sharpness, and when thrown, it returned to owner. Victor's Bracelet, which increases power of psychic skills and reduce cooldown. Hermit's Necklace, which enable use of Shadow Vault and store or retrieve equipment anytime. All these items were only Show's effect in PvE mode. He inspected the item effects instantly. It really was like a game. In the other world, he had needed trial and error to understand equipment. Now it took seconds. He shoved the gear into his inventory and hardened his expression. Yujin was still hurt, and the urgent threat had been removed. He needed to finish clearing the reverse world fast before her wounds worsened. Yujin faced her own nightmare. She stared upward, trembling, as a massive creature towered over her. The boss of the gate, the Emperor Scorpion. Its eyes burned like molten glass. She muttered that it was unfortunate she ran into it here of all places. Then she considered it again. Maybe she was lucky. If the Emperor Scorpion had hunted Woohyun instead, things would have been worse. The Scorpion lunged down with crushing force. She raced forward, lightning circling her arm. Her strike fired toward its face, but the beast dodged faster than expected. For a moment, her mind blanked. Then the Scorpion collapsed. Its entire body fell sideways with a dull thunder. She looked behind it. Woohyun stood there, blade dripping, having stabbed the monster through its core. He asked if she was okay. She didn't answer at first, stunned, staring up at him. The chat fell into a different kind of chaos, once again obsessing over how beautiful she looked in that moment. The world around them started to fracture. The sky cracked like glass. Woohyun said that was good. The passage was collapsing. Yujin whispered that he really took down the hunting dogs alone. She never expected it. He told her to worry about escaping instead and to get on his back. Reluctant, she climbed up. Outside the mission, Nayeon explained that since the subjugation was complete, the passage would collapse. They had to escape before being swept away. Seong-cheol agreed, speaking quickly as if afraid the portal itself could hear him. Woohyun held Yujin tight and sprinted through the shattering world. The collapse chased them like a falling sky. Alerts flashed across his interface. Raid complete. Level up, ability points earned. The world burst into white. Back in headquarters, Director Kim Cheol, the leader, Otherworld Management Bureau, leaned forward, voice hard. He asked if it was true that Yujin had been ambushed by another awakened. Woohyun answered yes. The director's eyes darkened. He asked what happened to the attackers. Woohyun told him he killed them. The director blinked, baffled. He remembered the bodies from their earlier encounter. He asked if Woohyun had evidence. Woohyun calmly handed over Hyung-cheol's phone, explaining that he couldn't access everything because of security locks. Director. Kim looked through the data and said the investigation would go smoothly thanks to it. He instructed Woohyun to rest, to leave the rest to them. Woohyun turned to leave, but Director Kim halted him. His tone softened, not with kindness, but caution. He told Woohyun that there would be another chance later. and for now he needed to cool down. Did he understand? Woohyun nodded. The moment he stepped outside, his interface flickered. His second key element was ready to be chosen. The stream panel reacted in celebration. Nayeon said that his first mission was finally over. Seong-cheol said it was far more spectacular than anyone expected. They could tell from the viewers' reactions that the audience was satisfied. Then her eyes narrowed at something on screen. A donation lit up like a siren. Viewer 62, 3 million credits. The message was simple. He passed the first test, and now a special mission awaited him. Nayeon tells Woohyun about the donation, saying a special mission has appeared, he says finally, and she tells him she will send a screenshot. When he checks it, he sees the special mission. Message from viewer 62. He remembers that last time they said something similar, and he wonders whether the donor will tell him the true meaning once the stream ends. Woohyun thanks Nayeon and says they will continue the stream for now. She agrees. Seong-cheol asks if something happened, but Nayeon says nothing. The chat begins to question what's going on, and she wonders if maybe Woohyun can't see the donation window. It makes sense to her because the donor is anonymous, but she still finds it strange. She tells everyone that the reactions have been great, and it's time to move back into PvP. Seong-cheol asked what the plan for today's PvP was. Nayeon replied that it would be struggle from 4 modes: escort, conquest, annihilation, and capture. The players would pick one and compete in a 5 vs 5 best-of-3 match. The chat exploded in frustration, demanding a 2-win streak instead. Other demand what now this thing is about. Seeing their reaction, Nayeon felt sad, but get her usual self quickly. Nayeon smiled and said that once they understood what this truly was, they would be happy, then announced the start. The match begins immediately. The attack teams spawn in middle of road, Woohyun if one of them, wearing a mask. Behind them, there is a truck. The teams spawn in. Seong-cheol says he likes escort missions. Attackers push the payload, defenders stop them. It's simple. Everyone has played Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, Valorant-like payloads at this point, so they should get the idea. Nayeon notes this is the first 5v5 group match of the stream and wonders how. Woohyun will adapt. The countdown ends. Begin round 1. His team moves in formation. 2 on the payload, 2 pushing forward, and him hanging several meters behind. Quiet. Seong-cheol wonders why he's backing off. Nayeon suggests he might be preparing a backdoor play. Seong-cheol says most players stay glued to the payload, but it isn't a terrible strategy if you actually have the skill to support it. The problem is trying to stop 5 enemies by yourself is nearly impossible. Woohyun ignores the commentary. He crouches, leaps, and dashes up the wall, ricocheting to the rooftops in a blur the camera can barely follow. The chat goes wild. Half are hoping he gets stomped. The other half think he'll shred everyone because it's unranked. Someone says there might be Smurfs in the lobby, ready to ruin his entire run. Seong-cheol continues reading the minimap. Woohyun is already deep in enemy territory. He lands behind them like a phantom, spots 3 defenders huddled together, and raises a dagger. The throw is just a flash of silver. The first guy drops dead instantly. The second barely has time to scream that they're flanked before Woohyun is already in front of him, decapitating him in one clean slash. The third turns and tries to block, but the blade pierces his chest before he can even charge his ability. The remaining 2 defenders panic and run toward the payload, yelling that they'll stall the escort while someone holds him back. Woohyun is already behind them. Blade arcs. Both bodies fall. 5 enemies down before the payload even crosses the first corner. His team doesn't know what's happening, only noticing the kill feed spamming his name. Yujin laughs in disbelief, saying she expected him to carry a bit but not this hard. Seong-cheol comments that it feels like he's playing faster today, almost like he has somewhere else to be. Nayeon says they should just keep watching and see. The next mode is Control Point. A mid-map shrine, defenders entrenched, barriers stretched across the platform. They fire everything at him when he enters, but he sidesteps through the smoke, bouncing from wall to wall with his blades. They fall like they're scripted mobs. After that comes Flashpoint, a capture the flag variant. He wipes through them again, 5 kills straight in every single game mode. The match ends in a blur. No drawn-out fights, no hesitation, just systematic deletion of the opposition. The moment the scoreboard appears, 62 sends another notification and reveals the real reward. A special mission to open a new system of reverse planet by progressing with the game. The chat melts down. 3 million again. Yujin almost chokes, screaming that they could do a viewer event. A dinner party, new equipment, maybe even studio upgrades. They could basically reinvent the channel. Woohyun doesn't care. He just wants the screenshot of the mission. He stares at the description, trying to understand its wording. If progression means opening new reverse planet systems, Does that mean more PvP or PvE or something entirely different? Nayeon continues rambling about celebrations and events, but he completely Dona-walls her. She eventually realizes he wants silence and tells everyone to give him breathing room. He finally says fine. He'll continue the way she wants for now. The stream continues for a while, but the real wait settles in later. A few days pass. On the third stream, he arrives at the Bureau's training facility. The camera follows him through sterile hallways and reinforced doors. Yujin had messaged him earlier, saying she still couldn't teach him personally because of her injury, but she found someone to replace her. Nayeon and Seong-cheol speculate who the substitute might be. Director Kim, maybe. Someone else thinks possibly Kim Hana or Jang Ho-young. Competition level? Terrifying. Yujin greets him warmly when he enters, and he immediately asks how she's doing. She claims she's great thanks to him, though she still can't resume training. She gestures toward the woman beside her, the person who will take over. A woman steps forward, short hair, sharp eyes, posture straight as a blade. She introduces herself. Kim Hana. The chat loses it. Someone actually predicted it. People spam that Woohyun somehow keeps being paired with insane tier women. They joke that he's got two baddies now. He introduces himself more politely than usual, saying that in terms of skill, she stands only behind. Director Kim. She is basically second in the Bureau. The first time he met her, she was an enemy, and that encounter nearly killed him. She acknowledges the statement without emotion. Yujin says that now the introductions are done, she needs to leave. She actually snuck out of the hospital to come here, and she should get back before the director notices. Hana's expression drops, scolding her that she said she had permission. Yujin laughs nervously, apologizes, and bolts down the hall before Hana can say another word. Hana reaches out, but she's gone. The air hangs awkwardly. Silence stretches for a solid minute. Hana finally breaks it, asking if he uses a sword, and whether he prefers long blade or short blade. He says both. She finds that interesting and decides they should start with a quick duel to check his level. She doesn't waste time. The arena lights shift. His chat begins screaming. Seong-cheol murmurs that he's confused with how the plot is developing. Yujin appears on voice comms, asking if the issue is the duel itself. She assumed sword users spar all the time. Seong-cheol says swordplay is common. Yes, but this exact shift, this progression, this narrative steamroll is happening because Woohyun is the main character. The chat freezes. Nayeon's jaw drops. The words sink in. They realize what he's implying. The AI is reacting to Woohyun specifically. It isn't following a fixed quest line. It's developing a narrative around him. They feel chills. She says she thought the game would have limits, even as a fully responsive system. But this flow is completely different from every other player's storyline. The events aren't pre-programmed, they're evolving. Seong-cheol slowly admits that this means the game is capable of progressing along paths entirely dependent on a player's decisions, as if they were living in another world. Maybe, he suggests, Woohyun's version of the game is not just a high-end VR experience. Maybe his version is the other world. Hana made her condition clear before they began. No abilities, only the sword. Woohyun answered that he could not comply. His body enhancement was always active, woven into every movement. She responded by promising to suppress her own ability as much as possible. The two stood across from one another in the training arena, silent as steel. The moment the match began, Hana launched forward with the speed of a gusting wind, her blade sweeping up in a direct vertical strike. Woohyun slipped sideways and countered, his own sword arcing toward her ribs. She stopped him with precision, then dashed in again, shoulder first, crashing into him with brutal force. His body lifted, thrown across the floor. Spectators watching the stream were stunned, realizing immediately that she was not someone who could be underestimated. She carried the aura of someone forged for battle. Nayeon mentioned the God of Wind style, and Seong-cheol explained that the famous build was modeled after Hana herself. Her technique was not only fast, it was intentional, cutting directly where she predicted he would guard. Hana pressed harder. Her blade blurred through 3 rapid thrusts before Woohyun even landed. His foot hit the ground and he spun away, barely clearing another slash that would have severed him from shoulder to hip. Every second she sought the smallest gap, testing his reflexes with cold efficiency. The intensity triggered something in her. She smiled, a faint curve of interest, and allowed more of her strength to surface. The sword in her hands began to hum with power, wind pressure curling around the edge. She lunged, the point of the blade aimed between his eyes. Woohyun acted on instinct, shifting his head a fraction, and the attack detonated behind him. A violent shockwave split the arena, shredding stone and metal as if the world itself had snapped. Silence lasted only a heartbeat before the chat exploded in disbelief. Hana stepped back, acknowledging that he was more formidable than she had expected. He answered calmly, admitting that if the duel were real, if they fought with killing intent, his chances would sit around 20%. Compared to how he fought in the other world, he was still lacking. Hana asked where he learned his swordsmanship, genuinely curious. Woohyun replied he had no teacher. He was self-taught. That surprised her. For someone who had no master, he performed with skill that rivaled professionals. She told him she would show him something in return. His mission notification flashed to mark completion. The duel ended without final strike, and she led him from the arena into a chamber lined with steel, iron, and glowing relics. This was the Bureau's armory. The walls were layered with racks of weapons from countless dimensions: spears, swords, axes, tools of old raids and failures and victories. A man approached them, introducing himself as Kim Hyun-woo, support team leader of interdimensional management. He stated that Woo-hyun needed a true weapon, not a simple one with no abilities. Hana agreed. Existing weapons would only limit him now. Kim Hyun-woo told Woo-hyun to choose carefully and left the room. Hana allowed him space to search. Woo-hyun moved between the displays, scanning every blade and staff. Many were respectable, some powerful, but none suited him, until he reached a crimson spear labeled Blood-Sucking Spear Dragos. Its effects were simple and brutal. The cutting power of the spearhead increased. The spear absorbed blood to replenish health, and it granted dominance over blood. But its effects were limited to PvE. Even so, he considered taking it. Before he could commit, a different weapon caught his eye. A large two-handed sword mounted apart from the rest. He stopped moving when he recognized it. The name on the plate was Soul Eater. It was indestructible. Its cutting power scaled with the number of souls it devoured. It restored health equal to part of the damage it inflicted. He held it, feeling heat rise in his chest. A weapon like this belonged in the black market, not quietly placed in an armory rack. If it was here, then perhaps it originally belonged to the Bureau and someone had stolen it long ago. He never imagined he would find his favorite weapon in a place like this. Hana observed the sword with a quiet fascination. A two-handed blade, unreasonably heavy for most people, sitting casually in his grip. She asked if he had decided, and he said yes. She acknowledged the choice and promised to submit the transfer request. The chat went wild. Naeon struggled to understand how a normal armory visit turned into acquiring a 5-option weapon. People donating commented that Soul Eater could become a true endgame weapon once all its effects awakened. Seong Cheol reminded them that this was not the first weapon. Woo-hyun earned far ahead of the game's intended progression. Even the Hermit's necklace he received earlier only appeared late in mid-game. Seong Cheol explained that the system of reverse planets issued rewards, strictly based on risk. The harsher the challenge, the greater the reward. Naeon realized aloud that defeating the hunting dogs explained the necklace. Seong Cheol added that Woo-hyun went beyond that. He survived the facility, escaped flawlessly, and then sparred. Hana, Soul Eater, was the reward for everything. Accomplished without failure. The chat settled, agreeing the logic made sense. With official ownership granted, Hana suggested they head out for a raid. Woo-hyun agreed. They opened a portal to the mountains, emerging atop a jagged ridge. Winds tore through them like blades. Hana admitted she never thought a gate would exist at the summit, and that the guard misled them when he called it a simple climb. Below was a natural nesting ground for wolf-type entities, creatures known for brutal territorial instinct. They would come on their own, teeth first. Woo-hyun said that was better. It saved them the effort of hunting. Hana added that she would only intervene if things became dangerous, but otherwise she would watch and measure him. He summoned Soul Eater from storage, its black surface swallowing light, and told her he understood. The first wolves appeared snarling, eyes glowing with hunger. Then the second wave. Then the third. The pack charged downhill like falling stone. Woo-hyun took one step and lowered his stance. He waited until every claw left the ground, then swung. The sword cleaved the air once, and one of the wolves turned into crimson mist, ripped apart by sheer force. Soul Eater absorbed its essence. Its edge sharpened, its hunger expanded. The chat exploded again, horrified and fascinated. Naeon commented that he was swinging the massive blade like a feather. Seong Cheol, overwhelmed, sent a donation of 50,000 won, praising the control. Woo-hyun looked at the weapon in his hand without a trace of surprise. The weight, the balance, the edge, everything was exactly as he remembered. It slid into his palms like something grown from his own bone. Hana stared in disbelief and asked if he had just used the heavenly moon. There was no arrogance in his answer, only recognition that the weapon and he were not two separate things. They were a single rhythm returning home.